Well, I've lived in this house for some 37 years now with my wife, and some people have made fun of it. A little bitty log house, 24 by 24 log house is where we lived and raised our family. And it's right next to a cemetery over here, and over here is a trailer court. And it's on the poorer end of McCook for sure and for certain. But be that as it may, I've had some people tell me, boy, they wouldn't want to live in that seedy area, or, you know, to give me a hard time about that. But I always like to bring up the point. I had a friend here in McCook, and he bought him a $50,000 home, which is a lot of money for this area, back some years back, in a real nice area. And on each side of him was a couple of elderly couple on each side of him. And they were just the perfect neighbors. You couldn't ask for, you know, they were quiet, considerate neighbors. Couldn't ask for better. The downside is they were quite a bit older than my friend, and so they passed away. And of course the families, rather than to sell those homes, because the market had dropped out pretty badly, they just decided to rent them. Well, they put everything from druggies to crazies, and so his home on each side of him basically turned into, Dodge City, Wild West almost, druggies. And he said it was nothing to come out, walk out his door, and the cops would have the neighbor with his hands pressed up against the house, frisking him for weapons and that kind of stuff. It was just an insane area. And it didn't matter even when they got rid of them. Then they got a neighbor on each side with barking dogs. And he said he worked nights, and so he said, boy, during the day they'd leave and their barking dogs would just bark all day long when he was trying to sleep. And he said, boy, that was murder. And the law enforcement didn't seem to care if dogs barked during the day. And so he said that he finally went over and asked them if they could calm their dogs down or put them on the other side of the property, something like that. And boy, they wouldn't do nothing, and they ripped him big time. You can't tell us what to do, And so then he made enemies on both sides of him. Well, he didn't take the next step then and file a complaint with the police, but somebody else did. And of course they then think he did it, and he didn't, and so now they hate him even more. So you see, it ain't so much where you live, in my humble opinion. It's getting along with your neighbors. I raise garden, and I give all my neighbors free food every summer. That goes a long ways toward, keeping everybody mellow at my direction. There's all sorts of things you can do and worry about, be it on the other side of the world, but you better start in your own neighborhood. This is McCook's Mr. Bill. Rate this film.